Welcome to Apaga University. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie. We are two
momtrepreneurs
who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love.
16 years later and over 100 podcast episodes already under our belts, we invite you to continue on this journey with us as we share stories that resonate, insights that inspire, and practical guidance that empowers you to face any obstacle along this path.
Whether you're a professional caregiver, a family member, or are simply curious about what your steps will be when you need them, you have come to the right place.
Oh, hey, and while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And after that, make sure you send this to a friend.
Yes, do it. All right, we'll quit fooling around and get to it.
Let's go. Class is in session.
Hello, Sunshines, and hello, Julie.
Hi, Inga.
How are you this fine day?
Fabulous.
Fabulous?
Mm-hmm.
Are you refreshed?
Almost.
Almost?
Yeah.
Are you rejuvenated?
That definitely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Right on.
Refreshed and then getting caught up on sleepage and all? No.
Yeah, no, not that. Are you refreshed from having a little hiatus?
Yes.
We've been on hiatus from podcasting.
Yep. That.
And just that due to very, very busyness here in the office. But then also we were able to take a pretty cool trip.
Yeah.
That we're going to talk about today. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Righto.
Just a recap.
Love it.
Right on. Well, let's start with the verse then.
Okay.
And this is Psalms 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
It is so true.
Yep.
There's not a single desire in my heart that the Lord has not fulfilled.
Right.
At this, well, I mean, maybe that's not 100% true, but he does a real great job.
Gotta love the guy.
You do gotta love the guy.
Gosh, I have an uplifting story,
Yeah.
or not so much a story, but just it was so appropriate for our topic today.
Okay.
Yeah. So little did I know, and this is very interesting, is a third of your month is bound to be extraordinary, according to a new survey. So what they said is they took this poll, of course, and that the average person in America has 10 extraordinary days per month. So that's 120 every year.
Wow.
Yeah. But funny, if you live in Hawaii, which I get, or Idaho or South Dakota, you actually bump that up to 13 days a month of having extraordinary days.
Really?
I would have totally got the Hawaii thing, but the Idaho and South Dakota, I'm just wondering what's so great there.
Well, what qualifies as an extraordinary day?
Well, yes, living a joyful lifestyle is subjective and unique to everyone. However, big majorities agree on several things that could define a joyful life. And feeling happy is 77% of that. Being healthy is 71%. Having positive personal and family relationships is 69%. And then feeling comfortable is 69%. So basically, they wanted to find out how often Americans treat themselves and which occasions call for indulgence. So, results found that half believe any day is a good day to treat themselves, and they enjoy spending their most joyful days with family and friends.
Yes.
Fully 76% said they prefer sharing their joyful feelings with others whenever they can. And so basically they said certain times when they most likely want to treat themselves to something nice is during their birthday, while on vacation, or just simply when I'm having a good day. So most people said treating themselves is like going out and having a nice meal.
Okay.
And alongside a nice beverage.
Oh.
And so more than 71% said indulgences like these are best shared with others, especially their significant others, family members, and close friends. 3/4 of people like to host family and friends in their home for dinners, and a similar 80% believing pairing food and wine typically enhances the overall dining experience and makes the meal feel fancier.
Oh.
The answer to what makes life sweet and extraordinary is a little different for all of us, but at its core, it's about appreciating the simple things around us.
True.
So we did that.
Yes, we
and
did.
we paired that with some wine and some vine and dine, and it was
we treated ourselves.
We did
multiple times a day.
So all of those days where we can actually define them as extraordinary.
Yes, I would agree. Well, my story is about another loyal dog,
Oh.
and some traveling that was involved. And basically in Oregon, this gentleman was traveling to a campsite. He had his 4 dogs with him.
Mm-hmm.
He failed to negotiate a turn and ended up like plummeting off of this embankment, right?
Yikes.
So his dog ran 4 miles, one of the 4 miles back to the campsite and basically raised a ruckus to let them know that something was wrong, and was able to lead them, his family, back to where this crash had taken place, or where he had gone over the embankment, so that they could then find him and locate him. And it was a deal where, given where he landed, it was not one of those that you could easily access.
Oh, wow.
So it did take a lot of rescue efforts and ropes and, essentially hooking him up, strapping him in, pulling him across a ravine to get him out. And then, of course, the other 3 dogs. But it just kind of goes to show you, I was thinking about it being appropriate because we had just traveled, and you just never know what can happen when you're traveling.
Oof,
I mean, we'll talk about the Metro bus when we get into it a little bit. But also I was thinking about it because we are very close to having a puppy land at our house. And so I was just thinking about dogs and their loyalty and their ability to be able to help their owners. And I thought that was really, really cool. This happened in Oregon. And yeah, that dog took no time running back and finding help for his owner and the other pups.
And you know what's really funny about that? I almost printed that same story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read it.
Did I tell it okay?
Dude, yes.
Okay, perfect.
This is a cool dog, and I am going to remember this one for another day.
I know. I always hope that if I'm ever in a situation like that, I'll have a loyal enough pup, smart enough, all of the things to be able to help me out of a jam. So anyway, I think all's well that ends well in that story.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good.
Okay, so we just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about a trip that we were able to take. And it was a combination of business and pleasure, and it was a great thing and an opportunity that I don't feel like I know I've never had that before in my life, and I don't know that I will have the opportunity again.
Right.
So
it was a bucket list item.
Yeah.
And so we first hit DC, and then we went to New York City. I got to be honest, I had told my sister all along that while she lived there that I would get over, because she's also the hostess with the mostest.
Oh, yes.
And so I had always said, yeah, I'll get there before you move back, which we've got about a year. And I wanted to keep my word to that.
Yes.
But then she coupled up the New York City part of the trip, which I guess I always thought it'd be cool to go like to the what is it? New Year's Eve bash. But once I was there on just a normal day, I don't think I need to be around for that. I would go to DC again. I don't know that I would ever think I'd have to go to New York City again.
Right.
Seeing it once was enough.
Right. It was just really interesting, and it was great. So basically, to back up a little bit, Julie and I went to Washington, D.C. We were able to meet and stay with her sister, who currently lives in D.C., sister and family. And they each did... I don't know, they each brought something to the trip for me in my mind, something that was important to them.
Yeah.
They were able to share with us. And that was really cool because I tried some things that I've never before been exposed to.
Or wouldn't have ever tried.
Would have never thought to try on my own. But it was really fun to be with people who are familiar with the city and it was just cool because I feel like they are very proud of their city and very proud of what's there and what it has to offer, and very happy and to share it with other people.
Yeah.
So it was fun. We flew into DC. We got in a little bit later at night, got to have a meal, right off the bat. And then we went and got situated in our Airbnb. It's really interesting to me. I did not know, or maybe I knew, but didn't retain. That's part of my problem with life is the retention. There's like only so much space I've run out of. Is it gigabytes or I don't know what it is. No, is that what makes it run? So what's the storage thing? Storage is gigabytes. Okay. Alyssa confirmed for me. So anyway, I have a retention issue. I do. I really do. But anyway, I didn't know, or possibly knew, but didn't retain that there is only a certain height that the buildings in Washington, D.C. can be. So everything there is a little bit shorter. I mean, it still seems huge when you look at things. And I was thinking about like foundationally, the footprint of the buildings, and you think about like all of like the Department of Justice and the Capitol building and all of these different things are just huge on the foundation, right? But when you get into New York City, everything is more narrow, but it's just straight up.
I don't even know how they built the buildings in both cities.
Right.
I mean, the architects and the builders are just unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable. The beauty. Everywhere you looked in New York, there was scaffolding making them higher. And I would get vertigo or dizzy just looking up from the ground.
I know.
And to know that there's people working up there, there's
All the way.
how many? 60 stories up? I don't even know. It's just wild to me. It's like, it's very hard for my brain to even like comprehend it, you know? I just love the detail in Washington, D.C. on all of the buildings, the beauty.
and the history that goes along with it. And then, you know, being able to go to the monuments, which we did at night. And that was just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just kind of a feel about it. And they all are so much larger than life. You see them in pictures, you see them
Pictures
in
don't do it
videos or
justice.
whatever. And you cannot fathom
Right.
what it truly is.
Right. Yeah. No. And actually, the reason in D.C. that they can't go up higher is because there's a respect issue on, was it the Capitol?
I think is it the Washington Monument? Nothing can be taller than.
Right. There was one of them is
Yeah.
you can't be any taller than that.
Right.
So everything was, like you said, wider at the
Yes.
base than up high.
Right. But as you look to, is it Maryland or Virginia, then you see the taller buildings. And as Dana said, that's how you know that that it's no longer part of Washington, D.C. because
Yeah.
there are restrictions on that.
Yeah.
We did have the opportunity to go to the Montana Breakfast, which was a really, really great opportunity. Turns out Montana is the only state that does this sort of a gathering, and it's just when they're in session. Is that correct?
A weekly one.
A weekly breakfast. And ultimately, it is open to Montana constituents. So if you're in DC and want to have the opportunity to speak with your elected representatives, you can schedule through, we just scheduled through a senator's office, and basically you are able to then go and attend this breakfast and have conversations. I mean, it's not a long situation, right? So you're not going to probably solve all the world's problems, but it's a moment to be heard. And I thought a lot about this because there is always so much negativity and so much to complain about, I think. But my approach, I guess, to this situation was to go in with gratitude and be able to say to the senators, like, these are the things that we're working on, and these are the positive things, and this is what we're grateful for. Because I find in life, for me, the more gratitude I show, the better things come back to me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that meeting was really nice, a great opportunity to just, speak up and meet your senators and representatives and congressmen. And
Yeah. Yep. No, they were very, very friendly. And literally did take time to make sure they spoke to everybody.
Yes.
And there was a lot of, it's actually one of the bigger breakfasts that we were at with Montana people there. So they, they never know if they're able, how many are going to show up. So
right. Yes.
And then it was good.
I don't know if this is like insider information or not, but we then were able to schedule our Capitol tour through a state-led Capitol tour.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the way to go. I don't know exactly how it all works. I mean, we would not have known about it without Dana's recommendation on what to do and guidance.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. But yeah, the state-led Capitol tour in my mind was just amazing because they were able to hit on specific things. And it's all very, very important. And we did have the opportunity to be able to kind of look around on our own, but they did point out some of the more important or noteworthy things. I guess it's all important and noteworthy in the Capitol. But I was thinking if we were by ourselves to just walk in there, it would be so overwhelming. Yeah. You would have, even to get back to the elevator, it's just so massive.
Yeah.
And because those tours are open, they're public tours or whatever, and not just the state-led ones, the people, there are just so many people.
Oh, and the other thing that you don't realize is there's actually a city under the city. All of the the trains and the subways and the offices and archives.
Just tunnels to even go through. And then you think you're on the bottom floor, and then you look down and there's more. So it's just crazy.
I don't even understand, even with the flights and stuff. I don't know. And then being through a subway, I've never really been in a subway like that, how they control all of the movement and just keep it all in sync.
And it's very interesting, the subway system in DC, or metro system in DC versus the subway in New York. And also, and it makes sense to me, where you get on the subway. You know, what is it? Because in New York, when we got on it, did we get on at Grand Central Station? And then basically how packed.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It wasn't. We were going to Grand Central Station. But anyway, it was so packed in tight. I mean, you were like sardines. Yeah. But in DC, it wasn't as busy. And maybe it was time of day. I don't know. There's probably a lot of things that impact that. But that was the only part of the trip that was a little sketchy for me. And it's because I'm claustrophobic. So going down the, the really steep escalators, and it felt like being in a gigantic MRI tube.
We know you do well with that.
I do not. But yeah, just interesting. It was a great experience. And again, it's things that you hear about and don't know that you'll ever have the opportunity to be able to experience, but it was great.
Yeah.
We did have when we were walking on the street in DC, there was a metro bus that we just heard this huge crash and ruckus across the street. And we don't know why or what happened, but it jumped up on the curb and smashed right into a bus station. The poor lady that was sitting in there, thank the Lord, she was not injured. And nobody got hit on the street, but wow, how quickly those things happen.
Yeah, no, the weather was really good. We it was pretty, DC was pretty warm, and also muggy. And I hadn't been through that kind of weather. And I believe from there going south, it only gets more humidity and sticky.
That's what why is everything so sticky? Everything is sticky.
Yeah. And so that was one thing that you have to get used to. Yeah. But as we went up then to New York City, it was the same heat, but not the
humidity. Yeah, not the stick.
So, so we went to a couple Smithsonian's, and the brand new one there is the African-American one. It was incredible. The music there was just awesome.
I very much got sucked in, and
we couldn't find you, and it was because you hadn't left.
Look for the music.
You
go
backtrack right in front of the music and the huge jumbotrons, playing it. So, but that was incredible. And then what else did we go to? Then we went to the Native American one, and there's 19 Smithsonian's, and we could not ever hit all of them.
And you can't even retain. I mean, there's just so much information in all of those. But I thought it was great. In the Native American Museum, there was a presentation, so singing and drumming, and question and answer session. And there was a group from St. Francis School there, and the kids did an excellent job asking questions. It's always a little nervous, when a fifth grader is going to ask a question in a big forum like that.
One of the things that we did too, we took my nephew Zane with us, and he was dying because it was like every single eighth grader in the United States was having their history field trip for the year. So it seemed to be a whole bunch of mid-sized munchkins running around, enjoying it. And I never did partake of any of those kinds of trips at that age. But I hope that they got something from it.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, I do too.
So anyway, very, very cool to experience that.
Got to have food truck food in Washington, D.C.
Didn't give a tummy ache or nothing.
No stomach aches, so that was a success.
The other thing that was so nice about having somebody there that lived there for so long, we got to see a bunch of side stuff, side roads, get to drive in a car where we didn't have to worry about driving, so we could just look around. We went to Georgetown and walked along the river there and was given a lot of history, but just the little side, everything is smaller. So even going into a restaurant or to any of the stores, even our hotel, in New York especially, there's everything's so narrow.
Yes, and like that row housing type. And agreed. So like in our hotel in New York, it's like 3 rooms on a floor, right? Because it's very, very narrow.
Yeah.
Just goes up.
Yeah. And there was a lot of trees. Actually, I told my sister several times that I felt like I was in Helena.
Yes.
Because there was the old style homes like what she had lived in when she was in Helena. And then trees.
Yeah,
I never
lots.
would have known that there was so many trees.
Yeah. I loved that. There was a lot of green. And
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
And not you, because you don't, or I don't think of that in the city. You just think that it's just concrete, and it wasn't like that.
Yeah, except downtown New York.
Yes, that for sure.
But also the other thing that they do is like I don't think anybody owns a lawnmower. Because any yard that they have is more of the natural flora and fauna, and not that you mow it. And they're just growing. Hydrangeas was a beautiful plant that we saw a ton of.
Yeah. What's really funny is both you and Dana took a picture of the same flowers at different times, because we got dropped off, right?
Yeah.
Or something. And
Yeah.
then she went,
Then
so I thought that was...
Went to show us a picture. I was like, I have that
I
picture.
have that exact same picture. That's funny.
Appreciating the small stuff.
Yes.
So then in New York, we got to go to the Metropolitan Art Museum, and we went to
Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, that. And boy, so lots and lots of walking. We figured out, well, I didn't figure out exact mileage, but we probably went almost 50 miles by the time we had all of our days there.
Yeah.
And so
we did like that bus top tour in New York.
So glad we did that.
I thought it was great. And, for Sister Dana, it was a little bit generic. She had commented on, but I think that's because she's familiar with the city.
Yeah.
And so she knows, again, like we got in DC, she knows the little itty bitty things.
Yeah.
But for somebody like us, just going there for the first time, I felt like it was a really good experience.
I would recommend it.
And yeah,
because you can't
make sure
walk.
you go up. You got to go be on the top floor, because on the bottom,
and then don't give your seat up.
Do not give your seat up. Do not.
Saw the Bull at Wall Street.
Yes.
And what else? Boy, I think I ate we had some kind of, was it Ethiopian food one night?
Dim
we
sum.
had dim sum. Some.
Yep.
And of course we had New York pizza.
Yep.
And I think we tried just about everything. There was a lot of things that I've never been around.
Went to a Broadway show.
Oh my gosh, there we go. Yes. Yes.
That was cute. I mean, like we went to Wicked. I thought it was great. And it was so cute because before we went into the show, you ended up talking to some individuals who were like, oh, have you been here before? And they obviously must make it
they had been to
thing.
that very show multiple times,
yes.
stating that even though it's been on the Strip for 20 years, they've gone, they said that was the very best one on Broadway.
Oh.
Which
so
there's so many that how would you even choose?
Right.
We were just lucky to get that one. And it was off of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
So incredible just to be able to be around that.
Mm-hmm.
So
much talent.
So much we did.
It's interesting too. I had sent some pictures to Kevin. He's like, oh, it's not as people-y as I thought. But it is interesting. And it all depends on where you are. Because when we got into Times Square, it was also very nighttime at that point.
Yeah. And so that's when a lot of people, I was glad to get to see it, but we were just walking through it to get to our hotel.
Yeah.
So it was good to see it, but I wouldn't want to stay there for too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Public transportation in both of those cities is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I was blown away by your niece and nephew. Well, Zane is in college now and Sonia is junior.
Yep.
In high school.
Yep.
But I was like, they're so brave. They just they're like, oh, I'm going to walk here. I'm going to walk there. I'm going to catch the metro and do that, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It was great to have tour guides. Got to meet up with my friend Taryn in New York.
That was so great.
It was great because, she's familiar with the city and able to give us good direction. We walked through Central Park.
Actually,
so
and the other thing is truly we felt very, very safe.
I did feel safe
at both places.
I did feel safe. There, it was only in the train station before we were having breakfast, and there was just a little episode of someone that was upset. Oh yeah, that was the only time that I felt uneasy at all in the whole trip. But
but it was good. It was so good.
Yeah.
So that was
turns out we've trained our people in the office well because they handled it and the world did not fall apart in our absence. So
yes,
is that a sign of good leadership?
Well, and it's a sign of a control freak letting go so she could get out of town for a couple days.
Like, we got to get Julie out of here. She's going to blow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I'm so glad you got to go with me.
Yes, thank you.
That is just, it's one for the books.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we're very, very grateful.
Yes.
And thank you for indulging us and listening to our trip recap.
Yes. So tour guides, that's now another thing that we can do.
Oh, yeah, true. I highly recommend getting someone that's skilled in maneuvering in the cities if you're going to go and taking advantage. Like if you do go to DC, look into that Montana breakfast, look into the state-led tour or whatever state you are in because it's just top notch.
Top notch.
Yep.
So,
cool.
Good.
Well, what is our winding out? No?
None. No.
There's no words of wisdom?
None. Get your bucket list going and start marking it off.
I'm trying to think if there was, did I ever tell this is Grandpa always when we were driving, keep it shiny side up, rubber thingies down.
There you go.
Yeah, that was always a good one for Grandpa.
Oh, wear good shoes.
Yeah, that's Grandma Fisher. Invest in good shoes. Yeah. That is very, very important. And then Grandpa Fisher, again, when it comes to your money, don't spend it all in one place. So if you're traveling, make sure you don't spend it all in one place.
Right. There's a bunch of good wisdom right there.
Nice. All right. Well, if you have good news stories, if you have topics you want us to discuss, verses you want us to share, please email those. You can send it to julie@ipagahomecare.com or inga@ipagahomecare.com.
Yes, indeed.
We'd love to hear from you. And peace out, Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.
The Caregiven name is a registered trademark of the Veritrust Health Incorporated Company. IPAGA is not connected to, affiliated with, or endorsed by Veritrust or any of its affiliates.